Hi, my name is Nina Amora, and I wanted to share my human design journey, especially if you're considering working with me. I'm a 5-1 splenic projector, left angle cross of distraction 2. My two defined channels are the channel of judgment and the channel of surrender. I'm also a certified living your design guide and certified analyst. My intention for this video is so that I believe it's important that you know who is guiding you. I'm going to share both my professional and some personal experience. And I understand the curiosity and uncertainty about human design, whether you're new to your experiment or you've been in your experiment a while. I also care and want to support your transformation in making decisions as yourself. A big part of my purpose falls in the quarter of transformation. So it's near and dear to my heart and feels super aligned to do. And I hope to guide in helping you to accept and overcome your limitations. So let's get into my human design journey. I found human design, or human design found me in March 2016. It came about because I was sharing with a business coach. Um, I was venting slash complaining about an experience that I was having in this community that I was in, where I found myself getting these questions and comments right here through friends that people, other women, I should say, were asking, why do I always get invited? What am I doing that where I always get, where I hate to say always, but where I get picked? To do things. And I'm not one to invite myself. I was just being myself, and people were recognizing and inviting me. And when I shared this with this coach, she looked at me and said, "Are you a projector?" And I'm like, "A what?" Now, I felt like I was pretty, spiritual and was aware of a lot of different modalities. And this one, human design, I hadn't heard of. So we stopped and I put my information and, of course, discovered that I was a projector whose strategy is to wait for recognition and invitation. And when I look back on my life, I can see so many times where I was recognized and invited, and there were people who would make comments and ask me that same thing. Why do you get picked, or why are you getting invited? And there's also a lot of times that I wasn't, recognized and invited too. So finding out about this information that I was a projector was a game changer for me. So after finding out that I was a projector, as much as it was like resonating so deeply, and it just kind of answered a lot of things for me when I was um, listening and reading about it, I ended up kind of going down this path of self-studying. I bought the definitive book of human design. I was listening to Ra Uruhu's audios. I was looking up videos on YouTube. I even joined projector Facebook groups. And in some cases, because there was a little bit of cynicism and I was a little bit kind of stubborn at times that such a thing could really work, I intentionally didn't follow my strategy to wait for recognition and invitation. And so it was really like kicking the tires with this system. And at the time, I knew some people who knew about their human design type and authority, type strategy and authority, but I didn't know anybody that was really actively experimenting it. I equate it to people who know about their astrological sign, and that was the extent of it. I really was a little bit at times obsessed. It would come in waves where I was really into it, and then I would take a break from it, but always in the back of my mind, um, really intentionally paying attention to what my strategy and authority um, is saying. Even at times, sometimes I didn't want to listen to it. Like, again, I was being stubborn and a little bit cynical about it. In the summer of 2019, I don't remember how I uh, started interacting on social media with Lavina Archer's, whose videos were up on YouTube that I would often watch. I recognized her and I really enjoyed listening to what she had to say and her experience in her experiment. And so I was invited by her to take her projector living your design class. And it was so amazing to be with other projectors and hear their stories that I really resonated with. Even if the details were different, I just could see myself, and I'm sure they could see themselves in me. And I mean, that really kind of hooked me even further to um, really intentionally live my design. After taking that course, I moved right into the next one, which was the Rave ABCs. It's the first level for the IHDS professional and general education tracks to learn like the basic components. So I was like, give me more information. Then I moved into the next class, which was rave cartography, where we're just adding even more depth to creating that solid foundation and understanding of human design, and got a better feel for what it meant to be a heretic investigator. So we all know what 2020 was like. So from July to December, I was keeping to myself, still in my experiment, and really just trying to keep safe. In January 2021, I was invited to take the Living Your Design Guide training. And here you learn the basics of how to guide people living their design through understanding their type, strategy, and authority. Typically, people who take this training are taking the training to get certified to take this. And for me, I just really wanted to learn. I was at this point where I was happy just to learn the information. I didn't want to be a certified living or design guide. I didn't see myself becoming an analyst. I was like, I'm good. I'm done. My glass is full right now, and I'm just going to take a pause. So, in that pause, I found myself looking at this time or being in the space of, I just want to investigate and see what this is all about, like practically. Like now that I've learned the book knowledge and taken these classes, now learned all this theory. Let me just go in and just like live it now. And in the living it with more intention, I was actually invited by another projector. She suggested that I create a room and space, a club in Clubhouse. It was that audio app that came out at the end of 2020, early 2021, and um, I hosted a couple of rooms by myself and recognized another projector to the point where we were hosting rooms twice a week for 6 months, where we'd have projector only rooms and then there would be rooms for all types. And I really enjoyed interacting with other people in their experiment wherever they were, and really getting a feel for um, what having that particular authority is like, or what particular gate, or what it's like to have a center defined or not. And I know we're everything in our design, in our body graph, but I always found it really striking to really feel the frequency of somebody um, embodying it and sharing it. I really enjoyed that. And I also was inspired to create a human design journal that's available to print through Amazon, and a digital version, if you go to my website, that can be purchased there. And at the mid 2022, I want to say, or sometime over the summer, fall, I found myself getting these sort of like intuitive whispers in my body, moving to my teacher, Lavina Archer's website, and seeing, what she was doing as far as analyst training. And I, to be honest, was like asking myself, what are we doing? We decided, at the end of 2020 or mid 2021 or early 2021, that I was done. Like I didn't really feel the need to do this. And here I was looking at her site. So there was a little bit of this yellow light that there was more for me on my human design journey. So in January 2023, I believe it was actually around my birthday, Lavina reached out to me asking and inviting me to take the PTL classes, or starting that journey. And I took it as a really good sign. knowing that I was already kind of dancing around her website previously, the end of 20 mid to end of 2022, and checking in with my splenic authority, my body's like, let's do this. So I found myself shockingly there in the first couple of weeks. I had taken an extended break and I hadn't been in the information to the level that I needed to be in it. So it was a bit stressful, but I finally came around and things were coming back to me, and I was learning new things and really getting concepts that I hadn't grasped before in a really great way. And for 3 semesters, or pretty much for all of 2023, I was completing the level 1 for PTL. I started 2024 in PTL level 3. I skipped level 2 because level 3 continues the individual analysis, and I wanted to complete that out, and learning about the incarnation cross analysis. Around that same time, at the end of December, I think early January, I was invited to participate in the Living Your Design Guide practicum. I think I might have mentioned before that I didn't want to do the certification, so I didn't do the practicum part. I just wanted to learn. So I started the completion process to get that certification and go through the practicum. After I completed PTL level 3, I now moved into PTL level 2, where I learned about the connection analysis. It's really taking an individual's chart and connecting it with another individual and talking about the relationship dynamic that occurs when the two are together. And then I went straight into the second semester, which is about cycles analysis and learning about solar returns, Saturn returns, Uranus opposition, and Chiron return. And last but not least, I signed up and completed my PTL4, which is the exam preparation, which really meant working and getting support on preparing my foundation reading so that it would be submitted to the International Human Design School, or IHDS, for certification. And in November of 2024, I received my certifications. So the certifications are all really just the paperwork for completing my all the level classes. So you don't get all of these certifications until for your previous classes until you reach or complete PTL4. So I'm very happy that I was able to complete this and get the certification, especially because I didn't ever think that I would be a certified analyst. So now that I've gone over all the details, I'll briefly share this bigger picture. And I feel that it's really important to um, share this because over the last several years, I've seen this growing momentum for people new to human design, and they're just adding it onto whatever else that they've studied or that they've got going on. And while that might be right for some people, in my experience and witnessing other people, there is a process to deconditioning, to aligning to yourself, and they say that there's a 7-year deconditioning process. And so I honor and respect that because I think that there's time needed for any transition or transformation. And can some things happen in a weekend? Perhaps. But there's a lot of information available to someone in human design. And I didn't learn in a weekend, and I didn't learn in a few weekends or in a month. You can see I've been learning this and investigating and trying to figure out for myself what the practical wisdom and guidance that I'm here to give when recognized and invited. So I've gone over all the details with the classes that I've taken, and you can see from the beginning on the left side where I've discovered HD human design, or all the way to the end where I just recently received my certification. And You can see that I've been on the road, I've been off the road, but I really believe even when I've been off the road, I'm still on it with being in my experiment and waiting for that recognition and invitation. And I know I've mentioned my teacher, Lavina Archers, previously, but I just wanted to just again acknowledge that she is a certified teacher to teach us information. And I've really, she's been my only teacher. I've been learning from her and really highly recommend her. And she has a lot of videos on YouTube and uh, can find her there. Okay, now while I've shared some of my, professional educational experience, I kind of want to get into, so that's all nice. What does that mean for me and my truth? And I also think it's important, especially in any transformational journey, that there are moments of vulnerability. And if you decide or recognize me and want to work with me, I'm going to ask for you to be vulnerable as well. And so I want to be vulnerable in sharing what I feel comfortable with the world at this point, and wanted to share really some of my own bittersweet truths and what I've learned um, in living my design, knowing my design, deconditioning, uh, just really being in my experiment. So let's start with the bitter part of this. The not self signpost for a projector is bitterness. And so I wanted to share some of my experience and that can kind of, well, can often contribute to me experiencing bitterness. And let's start off on this top right here with, you know, I worry about other people's questions. I want certainty and not to look dumb. I try to do things for attention. I try to prove myself and control things. I avoid my emotional truth and confronting others. And sometimes I don't know when enough is enough. And I find myself, hurrying to free myself from any pressure or physical pressure. Um, let's see, I want logical reasons before listening to my intuition, having this splenic authority, this instinctive intuitive awareness. I want logical reasons. And I often can find myself, seeking guidance on my direction from others, or feeling the need for like a clear identity of who I am and where I belong, and where to live. I have initiated. I'm not a manifester, I'm a projector. I'm not here to initiate. And I also, like I said several times already, I didn't wait for recognition and invitation. And I can be overly paranoid about my reputation. And a lot of these things on their own and a combination of them have often led to bitterness. All right, so let's get to on the other side of things. So the signpost for alignment is success. So let's just flip a lot of what I've just shared with you and just start here on the top right with, you know, recognizing it's not my circus, those are not my monkeys. I don't need to worry about it. I can accept what I know and being okay with what I don't know. And I can communicate when there's energy and something needs to be said. I don't have to do it to get attention. Um, there's a lot less proving and more just being myself. I can find the courage to confront my emotional truth and learn to be discerning around that. And I have learned to be in the moment. Do I keep going, or do I need to rest to get to rest and recharge? Or do I need to slow down and trusting what I have the drive for, what I have the energy for? And just accepting that the logic may or may not be known, and to learn to trust that instinctive, intuitive awareness. And before asking for guidance, really pausing and accepting like the various expressions, the various sort of identities and places that I might find myself in. And I can initiate with projectors and reflectors. And I've really learned to wait for mutual recognition and invitation. And I'm less paranoid about my reputation, knowing I've got a solid foundation. And again, some of these, combinations have led to this feeling of like the sweet success where I'm sliding and gliding through the world and in my day. So I wanted to combine them both because honestly, I can vacillate between the two if I don't have any awareness, and I wanted to show like with a lack of awareness for myself, I will end up more bitter. The more that I am present and aware of some of these things that kind of get in my way or that I feel conditioned by, with that awareness, I can feel that success. I don't have to get, caught up in trying to prove myself or um, pushing myself so much that I don't give myself the rest that my body is asking for. So I wanted to just share this that, you know, as I've been in my experiment since 2016 and I am learning this information and really letting it integrate, I am better about being and feeling more successful. And when I feel that bitterness and resentment, I'm much more sensitive to it, and I catch it. And I don't find myself in that space for a long time like I used to before. As I start to wrap up this presentation, I just wanted to leave this with you for your consideration to imagine a life where each choice you make feels clear and aligned with who you are. Human design isn't about fixing you, it's about revealing what's already within. The real question is, are you ready to begin uncovering the truth of your design and live authentically aligned with yourself? Your journey awaits. As someone who's here to offer practical guidance, especially around transformation, I wanted to leave you with a few of these tips. Also, I call it also known as if I knew then what I know now. The first one I would say is it might feel uncomfortable with what you may begin to see and feel as you are aware of the conditioning and the process of deconditioning. There are things that won't make sense, and in time they might. To be honest, there's some things that quite haven't gels, and that's okay. I trust that they will. And there are other things that I just wasn't getting, and all of a sudden it just makes sense now. So everybody in their own time, understanding what they need to understand. The other part too is sometimes you might need to hear it in a different way or from a different person for it to land. I've watched that happen so many times. I know they're speaking English and I'm listening to them or reading it and it's just not sinking in. It could be I'm not ready for it. I need to learn something else before I can get this part. Or someone else just needs to say it a different way. And then I'm like, the light bulb goes on. The other thing too is you're going to begin to understand yourself in relation to others and may discover your relationships might shift. There might be an awareness of um, doing things to prove yourself and realizing you don't have to. And so, how does that dynamic shift with the other person? And I know it's cliche if you've been around human design for a while and you've heard people say this, like, it just continues to be true to follow your strategy and authority. And also, I would say it's your experiment. Like everybody's uniquely designed. And, like just honor your experimentation, what it is that you know. Because what's right for somebody else, even if you're similarly designed, maybe the same type and authority and profile, but there's get into the details of it, everybody is unique. And lastly, in those tough moments, how can you love yourself? And lastly, want to know more about your design? Together, let's identify more awareness, self-care, alignment, authenticity, and empowerment. If you want more information or you'd like to potentially work with me, and you recognize and you invite me, you can check me out on my website, which is ninaamora.com. Thanks for watching.